Black voices, black power.
The heat is on.
On the air and in the culture. KBLA Talk 1580. Stay connected. Stay informed. Stay loud.
Stand up.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Just returning from New York, an amazing national action conference with the presidential candidates and a number of notables who are offering their lives, their witness as service to our nation. But before we get to that in our second hour, in our first hour, I want to opine for just a moment about recent events that have engulfed the national body politic, and that is ethical concerns for members of Congress. I've been there. I've done that. I understand it all too well, from the very political to the very personal. The consequences of the collapse of Congressman Eric Swalwell's campaign is not just public and political, but it's also personal. He's going to feel it at home. The pillow that he sleeps on at night has become harder And that does not excuse the gravity of the allegations that have been waged against the congressman, including, but not limited to, taking advantage of at least 4 women who've come forward and have expressed their concern more than about the congressman's judgment, but about his witness, his engagement with them. And that should be handled in the appropriate forum, a criminal court. But on the question of expelling members of Congress, there's a lot of talk about expelling members of Congress beyond Mr. Swalwell. A lot of talk about expelling members of Congress and due process. Due process is a criminal standard. Congress has a higher standard than the criminal standard. It's called perception. I understand both. To err in judgment is human, to forgive is divine. Those who are called to serve must understand that perception is political reality. Seeking forgiveness and redemption is a far more complicated path, and in a practical sense, to seek forgiveness from 350 million Americans, each with a Facebook page and a social media handle, one person at a time, is not practical, and it is not possible with what remains of a human life. To save the Union, Abraham Lincoln understood better than most that half of the nation could not be criminalized by their participation in the Confederacy. So he began a national process of forgiveness. In many ways, the nation we've inherited is the legacy of that grace. It is deeply rooted now in American politics. And that does include the legitimacy or the legitimization of the Confederacy, no matter how many of us see it. However, as a leader, no leader wants to lead the unforgiven. Half the nation cannot walk around with their heads bowed because they engaged in human error of judgment, personally or en masse. Our present president forgave his political supporters who tried to overturn an election. He tragically stopped there. 70 million Americans are in a very long line waiting for their heads to be held high again and to be received by the open arms of the American people with another chance. President Joe Biden, in the final minute of his presidency, forgave his son Hunter, forgave all of his children, forgave his brother. It doesn't even make the news. And the reason it doesn't make the news because the power in the Constitution of forgiveness is so complete that you can't even write a Facebook post about it. Such is the nature of the pardon power. It has the power to erase everything everyone says about you negatively on the internet. That's the act of grace. That is America. When our children err, we don't throw them away. We pick up the broken pieces, listen to the lessons learned, seek better understandings, and we move forward as best we can. I'm thinking that at the inception of the nation, the president wasn't supposed to be a politician, but some kind of shepherd for lost sheep. The founding fathers themselves were very, very serious theologians. They gave very, very serious consideration to something that they placed in the Constitution that they called the finger of God. This is what made America unique in human history. No constitution on earth had one of these things in their constitution. Now, I'm not suggesting that men and women who have made mistakes should not do their time. They absolutely should do their time because we need laws in our nation to discourage behavior. And the consequences of that behavior, whether it is a congressman, a senator, president, or the Supreme Court justice, must be honored as the rule of law for all of the American people, and it must be respected. However, theologically, when presented with the question, Jesus was asked how many times should he forgive his neighbor? Until 7 times. The master said, not until 70 times 7. That's 490 times. Martin Luther King Jr. said that forgiving someone 490 times is to make forgiveness a part of the fabric of who we are as a people. I'm thinking about Jesus and Nicodemus this afternoon. Re-entering our mother's womb is not possible. Every human being that believes in the resurrection must also believe in the possibility of the resurrection of the human spirit, that people can keep their present form, but be born again, be new, be given an opportunity to make a continued contribution, that the last epitaph of their life is not the thing that they did wrong or the error of judgment that they made, but they had the capacity to rebound. When I was incarcerated, these are the kinds of lessons that my father taught me, and there are a number of members of Congress who could very well be looking at incarceration. These are the lessons that if Jesse Jackson were still here, he'd be teaching all of us. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We're on KBLA Talk 1580. We're in Mr. Krim's classroom on Moving Mountain Mondays. More when we come forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Deshauna Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Can we just talk? You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Moving Mountain Mondays, and on Mondays we have none other than Professor Ernest Krim on our program. Professor Krim, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hey, what's up, my brother? Thanks for having me again.
Brother Krim, let me read briefly an article from Axios. Swalwell scandal threatens to cascade of expulsion of House votes. The scandal surrounding Rep. Eric Swalwell is rapidly ballooning and could jolt a surge of expulsion votes for at least 3 of his House colleagues as soon as the chamber returns from recess next week. Why it matters. Multiple members of Congress in the 119th Congress accused of grave misbehavior have so far survived every push to oust him. The bill may finally be coming due. Rep. Anna Paula Luna announced she plans to force a vote next week to expel Swalwell, who is facing allegations of sexual assault and sexual harassment, which he denies. Democrats plan to counter with a vote to expel Tony Gonzalez, and Axios first responded and reported. And those votes succeed, if they succeed, which may be a long shot given the expulsion requires 2/3 of the majority of the House, votes to expel Reps. Corey Mills and Sheila Seraflus McCormick could follow. Why this matters is important. Swalwell allegations lead to Gonzalez, who has similar allegations to an affair with a staffer who later died by suicide and is under investigation by the House Ethics Committee, not by the federal government, not by the state government, but by the House Ethics Committee. The House of Representatives, Ernest, has a process that is different than the criminal process. It is a perception process. If Eric Swalwell decides to stay and fight, he will be establishing in the Congress of the United States a new precedence. I think that's why, in part, I'm here at KBLA to help share what the experience is like, a new precedence. That when allegations are alleged against a member of Congress, even if they are very, very serious allegations that rise to the criminal standard, the congressional standard of perception kicks in, and the perception standard where members of Congress don't want to be identified sitting next to, signing on to legislation, asking a member of Congress for their vote when there is a cloud hanging over their head. What I chose to do, Ernest, was to resign, because the failure to resign was to open up a can of worms for everybody in the Ethics Committee who might have similar ethics problems. But that's the House's ethics standard. And of course, once I moved beyond and removed myself from the perception standard so that other members of Congress could go through the normal process, I then had to confront the due process standard of the criminal court itself. And there I had rights: the right to remain silent, the right to a lawyer, the right to a trial by jury. I chose to plead in my particular case because in my particular case, I didn't want to drag all of my campaign treasurers and people who've helped me for years in my campaigns into a process where they could make a mistake in their deposition or in the trial itself, or even drag the nation, and more specifically, my father, my mother, and my family through that process. I said, I'm going to own my behavior and ask for the forgiveness of the American people. With that said, Congress has, in polling, polled lower than any other institution in the United States at this hour. What should Eric Swalwell do, Professor Krim?
I think that first off, I want to commend you for setting a precedence like that. I mean, that's rare. That's rare in any position of power for someone to take that stand, to be honest about the situation and what happened, and to get in front of it. We've seen presidents who haven't done that. You know, we've seen congressional members in the past, and now we've seen a president, not do that. So I think that we should commend you first off for what you have done and using your experience as a teaching point and lesson for all of us across these airwaves and across the country as you continue to do your commendable work. I think that Eric in this situation has to be honest. Like, again, these are very serious allegations. We're talking about the livelihood of young women who trusted him as a person up in a position of power. So I think when you outwardly get in front of it and you say that these allegations are false, then you have to carry that burden, right? We think about, for example, what happened with Bill Clinton, for instance, and that turned out to be a lie. So I think he has to be honest with himself in this moment. And we truthfully, like, we know those allegations, whether they're true or not, just a public allegation is going to stick with you. And it can get even worse if he does not do the appropriate thing. So that's my first point. My first point is, if you know if you know the allegations are true, you have to do the right thing in this moment for the sake of our country. There's already too much going on that we're dealing with. And I think also too, from my perspective, what's interesting is it seems as if there's always higher calls of accountability on the Democratic side. You know, it's just interesting to me and again, he should step down if that is what happened. But then also too, we know the person who has the highest office in the land. I mean, it just seems very convoluted and hypocritical. You know, just again, my standpoint as a educator, former classroom teacher, it's almost like everybody in the town knows what the president did, knows he assaulted some people, knows he's corrupt, and knows about his allegations with people in various places and these files. But then you have a teacher who is accused of something similar, maybe not to that level, but still accused of something very harmful and heinous, and they have more pressure. They have more pressure to step down. So I think that if we're going to call for accountability with him, and we should, and for all the other members who are being discussed right now, then we should be, hopefully this leads to a higher level of accountability for all, because what we're seeing, as you said, on all levels of government, the lowest approval rating for our Congress, the lowest approval rating for our president. We're seeing so many incidents of people visibly showing that frustration and fighting back and speaking out. We're seeing the economy implode. So I think that Eric has to look at himself as a symptom of this issue right here. And if what he did is what they said, I think he should definitely take a step forward and step down and get in front of it.
I do believe that the congressman obviously has rights. We all have rights in this system. But again, we're not discussing the criminal due process standard. We're discussing the congressional perception standard. And because he has a right to remain silent, because of the impending investigation in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and he should be silent because denial can be used against him and held against him in a court of law. So he's torn between the House ethical standard, which is a perception standard, not a criminal standard, and the criminal standard of due process, where he needs to be quiet. He needs to get a lawyer. He needs to speak through the lawyer. But can you perform your responsibilities as a member of Congress, knowing that you can't say anything on an issue that's personal, but does impact how your colleagues see you and how it impacts you and how it impacts them, whether they'll even take a picture with you or they want to sit next to you at the State of the Union? My opinion, based on my experience, is to spare the institution a week of debate over expulsions by owning the behavior that has led to the perception standard, follow the advice of counsel, spare the nation a national debate over how many Democrats need to be expelled and how many Republicans need to be expelled, where they are not under a criminal standard or a criminal investigation, and some of them may ultimately be, but that comes in the form of a referral from the House Ethics Committee to the Department of Justice. And in some of those cases, they have not been made, but Congress in and of itself seems to be moving to rush to judgment in some of those cases, which is not only a denial of the due process standard and the perception standard, it's just quite frankly un-American from my perspective. And so who am I to say what decision the Congress
say it like that? I think he has to. I think he has to, considering how much of a distract. And it's very, again, unfortunate, right? Let's assume, let's say the allegations are false, right? It's very unfortunate that this is the thing that we're talking about right now. And I think
No. Let me cut you off there. Let's say that we trust the women
okay,
who have nothing to lose, but everything that they've ever built in their lives to tell the truth, that they've come forward, and let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Since we have to give them the benefit of the doubt, even the chivalrous, if you will, chivalry, if it's not dead, thing to do is to allow them to make their case in the proper criminal forum, which is where this will ultimately end up, and not in the political forum that can be nasty, it can be messy, it can be smearing, it can destroy people's lives, credibilities that they can never get back once they've been through this process. I've seen too often, and we've seen too often as a nation, where victims have become the objects of our ire. And I've heard some of that and seen some of that on social media, where are these women coming from just before the governor's election in the state of California? Here they go. Whoa. Listen, if you've got all of these so-called skeletons that are hanging around in your space, don't run for office. I mean, don't run for governor. I mean, resolve your problems privately or quietly, or to the extent that justice is done for victims of such heinous, if you will, offenses. It seems to me that, well, there's a lot going on. I can share with you this, beyond those of us who are having the political conversation. As you can see, I'm trying my best to handle it as delicately as I possibly can. I can tell you that at home, it has to be extremely difficult, because he does have a spouse. He does have children. They're not holding their heads up at school right now because their dad was a congressman and he was on his way to being the governor potentially of the state of California, and maybe even one day a presidential candidate. And now the Manhattan DA is involved, and the future of that process is Rikers Island. Ernest?
I think again, you eloquently laid this out. To me, it feels like a no-brainer in this situation when you think about just what Congress and the American people have to grapple with now, what the people in California have to grapple with now. I think he has to make that decision. And again, like in the blink of an eye, your life could change. Like you said, when you seek a position like this, you got to understand that all your skeletons, as you go up that ladder or attempt to, everything will be exposed. And again, I think all in all, we hope and pray that the women involved are able to find some type of peace throughout all of this. Because I think even with that, when people mention, oh, why are they coming out now? I think we have to first commend them for, at any point in their lives, having the bravery to come forward in a situation like that. And I think that with him, again, making the mature decision, this can, even though we feel so far behind and everything else we're battling, it can help us move forward in some form or fashion.
I think it was Henry Kissinger who said that power is an amazing is the greatest aphrodisiac. I think they come forward before they give someone more power, where they can get away with the kinds of behaviors that are deeply personal and criminal. And that is deeply troubling. And so no one is for the idea that someone has, becomes president of the United States or governor of the largest state in the country, and they have this kind of power to make things come and go or go away and not deal with the truth of what's in front of them and the truth of what is in front of our nation. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're in Mr. Krim's classroom. We're having a serious conversation about the state of play of our politics in this country and our ethical behavior. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A new chapter is beginning at the Rainbow Push Coalition. The Chicago-based civil rights group held its first meeting Saturday under new president and CEO Yusef Jackson, who is succeeding his late father, Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr.
It is my honor to stand with you. It is my honor to fight with you.
The organization is now looking ahead to its annual conference in June. A new study finds many Gen Z adults still rely on their parents financially. The 2026 Wells Fargo Money Study says 64% of parents with Gen Z children are still helping with money, housing, or other support. Earlier research found Black adults are less likely than white adults to get that kind of parental help. And rapper Offset is back performing just days after being shot. He rolled onto the stage in a wheelchair at the University of Arkansas Rowfest on Saturday and later shared the moment on Instagram. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Now that the NBA regular season is over, here's what's on the menu for the Lakers and Clippers. The Lakers are meeting up with the Houston Rockets in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. Game 1 in the best of 7 is Saturday at Crypto.com, 5:30 p.m. tip-off. The Clippers are the number 9 seed in the play-in round. That means they will have to win 2 games to make the playoffs. First game is Wednesday night against Golden State at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, 7 p.m. tip-off. If the Clippers win, they would play Friday night at Phoenix or at Portland. The WNBA draft is tonight. The 3-round event starts at 4:30 on ESPN. No first-round pick for the LA Sparks because of a trade with the Seattle Storm in 2024. 4 UCLA players are projected to go in the first round. Lauren Betts, Kiki Rice, Gianna Neekins, and Gabriela Jaquez. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Stay informed with 24/7 power outage alerts from LADWP delivered straight to your phone or email when an outage occurs. Get notified when there's a major outage and again when your power is restored. Track up to 3 neighborhoods, like your home, your workplace, even a family member's. Stay connected. Stay informed. Sign up at ladwp.com/outage alert. That's ladwp.com/outage alert. Sign up today at ladwp.com/outage alert.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. These are hard times for housing in America. Too many in our community face barriers to safe housing, behavioral health care, and affirming spaces for healing, particularly those impacted by poverty and stigma or incarceration. Rooted in South LA, Ahmad supports impacted communities through housing, wellness, and leadership development. Ahmad provides culturally responsive, peer-led support from transitional housing and mental health services to leadership development and youth empowerment. They offer safe, affirming houses for youth, transgender women, and formerly incarcerated individuals. Therapy and peer support with a focus on healing trauma in Black communities. HIV prevention and care, free testing, education, and wraparound services for whole person wellness. Standing in the gap with health, housing, and hope. Reach out to Ahmad Institute Institute at 323-569-1610. That's 323-569-1610. Or visit amaad.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
From station to stage, LA Metro connects you to the artistic heart of Los Angeles. Celebrate this National Arts Month with Metro, exploring galleries, theaters, and cultural spaces across the city. Art isn't just where you end up, it's how you get there.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Fig Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Polly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to KBLA Talk 1580 and to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Moving Mountain Mondays and Mr. Krim's classroom on the J Lunch Club. Dr. Krim, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hey, thanks again for having me, brother.
Dr. Krim, I'm so grateful that you're joining me in this kind of somber but thoughtful conversation about morals and ethics and public servants and what we expect of them. I think we read some of the characters in the Bible and we see them as holy, but you know, David had a lot of problems, and some of our leaders and prophets that we follow in the Bible, they had problems. Some of them had problems at home. Some of them were tax collectors. Some of them lied under oath and denied that they knew Jesus. That would have certainly got them a contempt of Congress charge, or misleading prosecutors or lying to the FBI. But some of the disciples, like all of them, when it came to the trial of Jesus of Nazareth, they suddenly did not know him. And yet we hold ourselves to some standard that people don't, under pressure, crack. I asked my dad, who was married for 65 years, hey man, how did you make it 65 years? Well, actually, I asked him when at year 44, might have been year 40. How'd you make it, man? And he said, man, I learned how to ask for forgiveness. He learned how to ask for forgiveness. Marriage doesn't just survive off of, I love you, I care for you, I miss you. Honey, send me some flowers. Do you remember our special day? Do you remember our last date? Do you remember where we had dinner? It survives off of, honey, I messed up today, or honey, What did you find in my phone? Did you hear? Is it true? Is it not true? Yeah, it's true. I apologize. It's wrong. I'll do my best for it. Won't happen again. All of that. Marriage and life survives off of the power of forgiveness and the ability of people to redeem each other, forgive each other, and move on. If it does not survive that, if it can't get past that basic formula, it won't work. And so in this hour, I know that when the storm came, I think it was the New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain? On a perfect day, everybody can count on you. But when that storm comes, when that rain comes, when that moment comes, can you stand the rain is at the heart of New Edition's, one of their greatest and most memorable songs. So I can imagine not only the political trauma that all of us are experiencing in the state of California as we have to reshuffle our political alliances in a Democratic primary. Our first candidate is now our second candidate, and our second candidate of choice is now our third candidate of choice. And as we begin to shuffle our way through what's left of the Democrats running for governor in the state of California, now that the rain is pouring and the field is changing and the election is coming, we have to pick up the pieces because in this moment, politically, we're in the rain. Ernest?
I would imagine there's a growing tide of mistrust of our politicians now. And I would probably bet that a lot of the constituents, especially in California now, even across the country, are just looking to have something, someone, some entity that they can feel that they can trust in. I also feel like in this moment, it's a great opportunity for all of us across the country to also realize that when we put people in positions of power, we elect them or they're chosen, that these are people, like you said, and in various situations, varying levels, of course, depending on how the person moves forward. Especially, we have to reckon with what that means for us moving forward. I think oftentimes as people get into positions of power or they get authority, we attribute a certain air of perfection. We align them with Jesus. We align them with religious figures, and we create idols of them. And these are regular people dealing with some of the same issues, same grievances, the same pitfalls as any other person. And one of the things that, I would say too in this moment, when I was in the class, one of the things that I was really big on outside of course, like the thing that you get your high ratings on in class is, can you increase those test scores? That's pretty much what it is. If you get you get monitored a couple times a year. They come in and assess you. When you have that debrief, they talk about all the things you did with the standards, and they talk about did you have those reading texts aligned with the SAT standards, and they want to look at the data. They want to look at the assignments. They want to make sure that you're reading at a certain level and you're scaffolding. But within that rubric of how they assess educators, everybody's going to go through a school system. They're not assessing on, well, how are you modeling the character that we want our kids to have, or how are you modeling the type of person they should be? But I will say school districts will have those things in place. And I think we need to make sure that we are continuing to emphasize that with our kids, because we've seen time and time again, if we even want to just talk about people who have been overtly racist and have had all types of, issues with character and how they view their fellow human brothers and sisters, they can go to an Ivy League school and still be a card-carrying white supremacist, for example. So we have to make sure that we have our kids understand that it's not just enough for you to get this position, to get this job, to get this salary, to go to that institution, but it's also important that you continue to reflect on what it means to be a virtuous person in this moment. And it's something that you have to constantly do. It's not just a one-time thing. It's not just you go to your church or your spiritual institution of choice and then you are the person you will be forever. It's a situation where you have to constantly reflect on what that means, because we are all faced with these issues regardless if you are, working with folks with deem an ordinary job or if you are at the highest level. at the end of the day, we're people.
You know, I'm so appreciative of you saying that, because you do come into contact with students. And I would tell them that my father said that he is a public servant, not a perfect servant. God is not finished with him yet. That God is not finished with him yet. And I don't think that people understand that to be a public servant doesn't change the fact that you like after work to go have a drink or to hang out with some people or look across the room and just admire the beauty of people, male and female, and say, wow, you know, I mean, you're human. The day is over. You know, you're entitled to your own time. The extent to which it becomes criminal behavior is a problem. It is a problem, and that has to be rectified in the proper form. And so we're not letting anybody off the hook here at KBLA Talk 1580. We're trying to uphold the highest possible standards. To err is human, but to forgive is divine. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward with Mr. Ernest Krim.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're at Doolin's on Crenshaw. It's a special place where the neighborhood comes together. Got the fried chicken, the catfish, the candied yams, the mac and cheese. It's all delicious. I'm Isaac Bryan. I represent the Crenshaw District in the California State Legislature, and I'm supporting Tom Steyer for governor of California. California is under attack, and we need a fighter who's going to come in on day one and stand up for California values and push back. That person is Tom Steyer. Tom and I have been fighting together for the better part of a decade. Tom is the only candidate supported by smart justice, because Tom has stood on the front lines of racial justice, economic justice, and true solidarity. Tom is the real deal. He's the only candidate in the race with a comprehensive plan to make the billionaires and the corporations pay their fair share so we can fund things like universal health care and education. He means what he says, and he does what we need. This is a moment when we've got to fight fire with fire, and I believe that fire is Tom Steyer.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
My name is Tyrone Owens, and this is my home for 23 years that burned in the fire. Me and my wife, Charlene, we had this whole yard decorated every year.
This was the house that sparkled throughout the entire neighborhood on all the holidays. It's a community that will never be the same due to the negligence of a utility company. So I am pretty upset about that.
We were nowhere near being able to rebuild with our insurance. It's going to cost $1 million to put your house back up.
I want to get back to that point where we were before the fire. I'm starting to get emotional, but I'll work through it. LA Fire Justice has been wonderful for us. They're just caring people. We have all faith in them.
Big ups to LA Fire Justice, who's given us hope to rebuild 100%.
Advertisement. Douglas Foxer, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad.
LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Ready to order? Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Can we just talk? You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Moving Mountain Mondays, and we're in Mr. Krim's classroom. Mr. Krim, welcome forward to the show.
Thanks again for having me, brother.
You know, I've enjoyed this hour with you, and I'm thinking that, obviously to whom much is given, much is required, that we hold ourselves to the highest possible standards that we think we can achieve. When I was in the joint, one of my favorite books reading, and I read it a couple of times, and the author escapes me in this moment, is titled 3 Felonies a Day. Those of you who can hear my voice, get the book. 3 Felonies a Day. This book posits the thesis that there are so many laws on the books that every American commits 3 felonies a day. And they present themselves in various forms where we think we can get away with something, or we got over on somebody, or we didn't honor something we said we were going to do that might have been contractual, that might be devastating to someone else's life or their business, but we got away with it. Running a red light, drinking while driving. 3 felonies a day. That's just how many felonies this book posits in its thesis. Which means when the government of the United States, with its infinite resources, turns its attention to you, they can find one of the 3 felonies. No, maybe they didn't find what established probable cause. Maybe they didn't find, when they pulled you over for a taillight, a felony, they found a misdemeanor. But when they looked in the back of your car or in your front seat and saw your Hennessy and they smelt your breath, it went from a misdemeanor to a felony. 3 felonies a day. It's hard for people who write laws and expect everybody else to follow them to then experience the weight of the very justice system that they put on everyone else. Ernest, I think we're going to have to be honest to our children that the expectations that we have for them is not how they present themselves on social media or how they present themselves in a campaign, but in their fallibility, in their authenticity, in their willingness to quickly admit that they've made a mistake and try and correct it as quickly as possible before it gets elevated to a felony. Ernest, the honest conversation with our kids.
Definitely. I'm for it. And I looked up the book as you were talking. Hopefully I got it right. Is it Harvey Silvergate?
That's him.
Yeah. 3 felonies a day, how the feds target the innocent. I'm going to have to add that to my cart and make sure you add Brother Jesse Jackson's books to your cart as well before you check out, y'all. I think I'm always amazed too, like every top of the year, right? When we have these new laws on the books and we're presented them in such a fashion, like you might say the state of Illinois, 11 new laws to be aware of, a state of California, maybe 20, 30, 100 new laws to be aware of. And yeah, it does get to the point. And I think this even reminds me of this this video I recently saw. It was a white guy actually refuting the myth of this black on black crime narrative. And he was talking about how what we label as black on black crime, oftentimes, we're not even talking about people who are getting, found guilty of these crimes. We're talking about people who are over policed, who are arrested at higher rates than other people. And we know these same types of situations, even at a different level, of course, are happening in white communities, white rural communities, and anybody else that might be non-black. Oftentimes, it's not about, in this country, who did it. It's about who is in the view of the police officer when he's ready to exercise the law. And I think, like you said, that's an honest conversation that we have to have with our kids, because if we don't, then we have them blindly believing in a system that is still imperfect, that we're working to perfect, because our kids begin to realize that. They see that. My own kids, outside of the police, they're talking about teachers. Well, the teacher said this to me, but so-and-so's doing it too. That's what I would always get. You ain't say nothing when so-and-so did it. Kids at a very young age, brother, my youngest kid, 3 and 6, they talk about that's not fair. That's the main thing. If they got this, I should get this too. But we have to be clear on what that actually means in this system, man.
You're not wrong about that. Before we get to your word of hope, I want to tell you, when I ran for Congress in 1995, my vanity plate on my car when I got elected was RPZNTN. And that spells represent in. I represented the Godfather Lounge. I represented 50 Yard Line. I represented folks. I represented, because I didn't try to be something other than their representative. Hey, this is who I am. This is who we are. I am authentically myself. This is who you're voting for. I'll try my best to uphold the highest moral standards that I can, and that we all should, obviously, within the laws that we understand them. And we try to make do. I ain't making no excuses for anything that I've done wrong. I just can tell you that I lived a life. Ernest, in this moment, when we reflect upon the tumultuous nature of what's going on in our country and what is happening in the Congress of the United States, as a professor and as a teacher of young people, provide us all a word of hope.
I think the greatest word of hope I can give, again, rests in our children. We present ourselves with an opportunity every day, particularly you as well, when you speak over these airways. We have an opportunity to reach people. We have an opportunity to reach a new audience of those who can impact the youth. And if you have the privilege of coming across our children on a regular basis, weekly basis, at a church, whenever, use that as an opportunity, especially if you are in their social circle, they parents or something like that, to speak life in them and to show them positive examples of who they can be and who they truly are. I think about the fact that we should be taking our kids to the side, and if we are Christians or biblical, reading the book of Proverbs and look and talking to them about what it actually means to be, a virtuous person, and to also fall down and get back up. As someone who was just speaking on a panel about this yesterday, I would also like to mention the 42 laws of Ma'at. We're talking about something that was written 4,500 years ago, roughly, in ancient Kemet. And these were laws that the ancient Egyptians wanted to abide by. Like, think about that. Their justice system was based on this balance that they wanted to have. And I'm not going to, of course, say all 42 right now, but the ones that stand out to me, these are affirmations. I am virtuous. I am gracious. I am peaceful. I live in truth. I respect the property of others. I affirm that all life is sacred. I speak positively of others. I spread joy. I create harmony. I give blessings. I am humble. I embrace the all. I achieve with integrity. I am kind. I am forgiving. Like, these aren't things that are always true. These are things we have to remind ourselves of. So let's remind ourselves of who we truly are and make sure we invested in our kids too at that same level.
Ernest, it was wonderful talking with you today.
Likewise, brother. I look forward to it again next week.
Look forward to it. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. When we come forward in the next hour, I'm going to opine in the first segment on the National Action Network Conference, and I want to talk about no Merc as affordability. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A new chapter is beginning at the Rainbow Push Coalition. The Chicago-based civil rights group held its first meeting. CEO Yusef Jackson, who is succeeding his late father, Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr.
It is my honor to stand with you. It is my honor to fight with you.
The organization is now looking ahead to its annual conference in June. A new study finds many Gen Z adults still rely on their parents financially. The 2026 Wells Fargo Money Study says 64% of parents with Gen Z children are still helping with money, housing, or other support. Earlier research found Black adults are less likely than white adults to get that kind of parental help. And rapper Offset is back performing just days after being shot. He rolled onto the stage in a wheelchair at the University of Arkansas Rowfest on Saturday and later shared the moment on Instagram. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The odds makers in Vegas are already showing a lack of confidence in the Lakers. The Lakers are 5.5-point underdogs at home to the Houston Rockets in Game 1 of their first-round playoff series in the Western Conference. Game 1 in the best-of-7 is Saturday at 5:30 at Crypto.com. Kawhi Leonard is hoping to do something he hasn't done in 5 years with the Clippers. Leonard has not won a playoff series since 2021. The Clippers have to win 2 games in the play-in round to get there. They play Golden State Wednesday at the Intuit Dome. The NBA may have a competition issue to deal with. 8 of the league's 30 teams ended the regular season with 55 or more losses. That's the highest number in league history. The 8 teams, Brooklyn, Indiana, Washington, New Orleans, Dallas, Memphis, and Utah. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jackson, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Show on KBLA 15. If you're listening to our show, please download the KBLA app. Also, come to our Facebook page, Jesse Jackson Jr. with a check mark, and share the show. If you're listening, please share the show. I want to use the first segment of this hour to opine on what I witnessed at the National Action Network conference. The Democratic candidates and the potential Democratic nominee, I believe, was present in the room, but the only person who was missing, who may very well be the Democratic nominee as well, is the governor of California, who had previous commitments, Governor Gavin Newsom. But all Democratic candidates made their way to New York to participate in the National Action Conference. And I want to congratulate Reverend Al Sharpton because of all of the conventions that I attend, including the NAACP and Urban League and other conventions. It is a rare personality that has the power to pull all of these people together. So here are my 4 big takeaways from the potential candidates that appeared at the National Action Network Policy Conference this weekend, where I sat and listened carefully to each one, and I do mean each one. First, for every one of them is very knowledgeable and very capable. That's not the issue. Each of them have unique ideas and thoughts about the direction of our nation and the context within which we find ourselves. Every one of them is very knowledgeable and capable. The old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, became glaringly clear to me. I'm not so sure that I saw in the candidates, all of them, the depth of empathy necessary to understand the economic suffering as well as the mental toll that Donald Trump is taking on the American people. Do you feel my pain? That's a question I kept asking as I listened to the candidates. Do you care? Question mark. Do you understand suffering? Question mark. Have you ever experienced suffering? Will you share any of your own so that I may better understand that you understand what I'm going through? What are you doing when there are no cameras present? Question mark. Secondly, what I did not hear was a candidate who had the power to restore the people's faith in the Constitution. I'm deeply concerned about that. Thirdly, Donald Trump and Elon Musk have fired more than 300,000 African American women. I did not hear a day one solution for this problem or a commitment to rehire them. They too are suffering and deserve better from a caring political party. And lastly, from my perspective, the field is wide open for a dark horse candidate who is able to connect with the American people, a candidate like John or a candidate like the late entry of Robert F. Kennedy and the images that emerged around black and white poverty for working class people. I know that Reverend Bishop William Barber will appreciate that. Johnson could not end, for whatever reason, the war in Vietnam. Similarly, no one raised an interest in ending the war in Iran or the restoration of Palestinian self-determination in the Gaza Strip. I felt like there was a wink and a nod to the continuation of the madness. I still believe in a two-state solution, and the conflict is not going anywhere. Without this conflict coming to an end, the Democratic Party's nominating convention could very well be as tumultuous as 1968. If there are going to be American troops on the ground in the Middle East, they need to be in there guaranteeing the two-state solution for both sides. If necessary, standing between the Palestinian state and the Israel government, the state of Israel. America should be earning the trust of both sides to guarantee their security. It sure would be a hell of a lot cheaper. Not a single candidate tied questions of affordability to the Strait of Hormuz and the necessary chemicals that come from the Strait of Hormuz that are responsible for fertilizer. The absence of fertilizer is impacting the planting season here in the United States and will likely lead to global famine around the world. The subject matter did not come up. Its impact on the cost of food and the thousands of products that have petroleum as its base. Personally, I'd like to see someone draft executive orders, literally hundreds of them, reversing everything on day one that Donald Trump has done. He or she is going to have to root out corruption and literally fire everyone Donald Trump hired under his litmus test for acquiescence and personal service for his psychological whims, needs, racial, and gender biases. The Democratic Party message was as varied as the messengers. Hence, no message and no common rallying theme at all. I don't think being against Trump is enough. We have to be for something. In the Democratic primary process, we will likely be voting for and on our favorite personalities, not the leader of men and women. And that is what the country needs. Voting on personalities. Donald Trump won in large measure because he was the apprentice. We voted on his personality. And he's a nasty manager of the Constitution and the American people. The Democratic Party has a voter registration problem. And I had to imagine which candidate could inspire people to massive voter registration and participation, and I didn't see it. In my opinion, that speaks to the tone of deafness. With hindsight, each of these candidates struck me as being worthy of a cabinet position, but not necessarily the Oval. We need a force of personality, a force of nature to restore hope. And like I said, as I prepare to close, this field is wide open for a dark horse who understands, cares, and makes regular visits to sick people in the hospitals, prays with sick and their families, and commits to see the expansion of the Affordable Care Act, relief for caregivers, as a high priority, not from a political perspective, but from a human one. It is wide open to a candidate who understands, according to Martin Luther King Jr., that my own government is the greatest purveyor of violence in the world, and that we can no longer turn a blind eye, that programs that are necessary for human uplift here in the United States are unavailable because of our greed for natural resources and lust for violence dominates our consciousness. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Deshauna Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Can we just talk? You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to season 2. We're lighting it up today on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. You know, we've been talking across this country a lot about affordability. And I've been fascinated and tickled to death by an amazing song that has been making its rounds on social media. And one of Tavis's great friends, and one of my friends as well, Arnez J, has this Uncle Charlie dance that I see him do. And I've been trying to do this dance, but a number of people are picking it up far quicker than I can get it. My producer, and for those of you who are not watching, I hope you turn and watch it on the Facebook page or on YouTube. Drop that song from Finesse 2 Times and that dance right here, G.
8 noodles, no packet. Cereal with the canned milk, the powder milk, no milk. Waffles, no syrup. Jelly, no jelly. Nothing. Oatmeal, no sugar. Oatmeal, no sugar. Nothing. I ate cereal with the canned milk, the powder milk, no milk. Ate cereal with the canned milk, the powder milk, no milk.
So I was watching Arnez J's dance from his Uncle Charlie, and I put it up alongside of trying to find out who sang No Merc. And the gentleman's name is Finesse 2 Times. I'm trying to find Finesse 2 Times to bring him on the show. But I want to make the listeners aware that I've done everything I can from this interview that he apparently did, where he explains where he got the No Merc sign from. And before I play that, I want to be clear that at the heart of this comedic answer, which is obviously serious for Finesse 2 Times, is the question of affordability. The question of affordability. Now, I've made sure that we've done everything we can to remove certain languages by beeping it on the program. But I'd like to hear how Finesse 2 Times came up with No Merc.
And listen, I know if I go to Kroger's, if I go to the high grocery store, I ain't gonna be able to get that much groceries. I ain't gonna be able to get that much groceries if I go to the high grocery store. So I went to Family Dollars. Right? That's what you do when you broke. That's what you do when you got nothing but $700, $800. You go to family. So that's what I thought. But the jailhouse raised me, so I'm thinking I'm doing something. Y'all, I went to Family Dollars. I went and got the off-brand nutty bars, the off-brand oatmeal cakes, the off-brand Salisbury steaks, the off-brand oatmeal. I went and got everything off-brand because I thought I was putting some food in the refrigerator. Don't y'all know I took $360-some worth of food over her house, and she told me, my son, don't eat this shit. This fake ass food. Bruh, do y'all understand how this shit still ain't registered to me today? It's still not registered to me. I ate syrup sandwiches, bitch. I ate noodles with no packet. Cereal with the canned milk. The powder milk. No milk. Waffles, no syrup. Jelly. no jelly, nothing. Oatmeal, no sugar. And you complaining about these Salisbury steaks? And all you gotta do is put some seasoned salt on the motherfuckers. Put some seasoned salt and some black peppers on the motherfuckers. And some onions. And then bounce back. And you make them a sandwich. And you talking about fake nutty bars.
Well, now that is the dilemma that we are going through out here on this question of affordability. Some of us are deciding not to shop at Kroger's. We shopping at Family Dollar. And what Finesse Two Times, who's done some time, said was, while he did his time, what you complaining about? You want me to shop at Kroger's? While I was in the joint, I ate noodles with no packet. I had oatmeal, no sugar. I had something with no milk, and cereal with no milk. Milk means milk, by the way. That's the way Finesse Two Times dropped it on us. No milk. Powder milk. And so when we bring it all the way down to the street, this question of affordability is real because our people are struggling and they're making the sacrifice by not shopping for name brand items. My man decided rather than spend $700 or $800 at Kroger's, he was going to spend $360 at Family Dollar. That's where the song came from. That's what we dancing to. While we dancing, we ought to think about where no milk come from a brother who's telling you that when he was in prison, he ate syrup sandwiches, 2 pieces of bread and some syrup. No jelly? No jelly? Nothing. In every prison in the United States, there's someone named Cook. I don't even know. I was in 2 prisons. I don't even know the name of the guys whose name was Cook. You just called him Cook. Whenever you saw him, you called him Cook. So he was explaining to you that in the joint, he made a sacrifice because the circumstances created a sacrifice. And then his woman told him that she don't want no food with no labels that ain't on it. She don't want no food that comes from Family Dollar. She wants it from Kroger's. She wants it from Jewel's. She wants it from Whole Foods. And the brother's trying to tell you in this song, No Merc, that he's trying to stretch his dollar to make it more than a month. And he said, if you just add something to the Salisbury steak, little seasoned salt, some onions, and some black peppers, you can feed everybody. And she was arguing that she didn't want her family eating food from Family Dollar. Now that is the dilemma that we find ourselves in. Now, with that said, let me now transition to my man Arnez J, who brought to us the little dance I'm trying to learn, because we have to dance our way through our pain.
I ate noodles with no packet, cereal with the canned milk, the powder milk, no milk, waffles, no syrup, jelly, no jelly, nothing, oatmeal, no sugar, oatmeal, no sugar, nothing. I ate cereal with the canned milk, the powder milk, no milk. I ate cereal with the canned milk, the powder milk, no milk.
So like Uncle Charlie, we must learn in this hour to do with less. As past generations did, we may do with scraps of the master's table. There was a time when chitlins was free, and they are no longer free. A lot of folk didn't like sweet potatoes. A lot of folks didn't like ham, but our families made it work with no milk. And that's what we're talking about here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And we found joy in that process. And so our joy still abounds. We can make it in spite of it all. I wanted to break down what Finesse 2 Times was talking about. So when you see that flashing across your screen about no Merc, he's talking about no milk. And the powder pack is powdered milk. And ate cereal with no milk in the cereal. And you complaining about why the Fruit Loop box that he brings from Family Dollar doesn't have the Fruit Loops on the cover, but it's the same Fruit Loops that exist in the grocery store where it's cheaper. And so my man Finesse 2 Times came out to joint and realized that he had to extend his dollar beyond the month. And that's what we have to do in this hour. Gratitude ultimately must be our attitude. Gratitude must be our attitude. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Let me tell y'all something else. My grandmama used to take a peach, and our grandparents did, and it's not enough, particularly in South Carolina, particularly if you're driving down 85, you might see a big old peach on a water tower, if you know what I'm talking about and you're listening to me today, because South Carolina is known as a peach state. She took a peach and she turned it into a cobbler. She took collard greens, which under any other circumstances is nothing but a dandelion. When my grandmama got finished with a collard green by putting that ham hock in it, or that turkey neck bone, or that leg in it, that collard green became something else. It's kind of magic. And, while Donald Trump is clearly being the only general guiding his own war, the consequences of the cost of food for all of us is about to go up. And so don't put more food on your table than you can eat. Don't throw nothing away. Talking about you don't eat stuff that you had yesterday. Don't throw nothing away, because coming out of the Strait Hormuz is not just gas. And I drove after my father's funeral, my mother to Washington, D.C., and then I drove to Atlanta, Georgia, where we did the show. And then we were in Columbia, South Carolina, or Charlotte, North Carolina, where we did the show. And then we did the show out of Raleigh, North Carolina for 2 days. And then to New York, where we did the show for Reverend Al Sharpton with some of our guests and our coverage of that conference. And then drove all night yesterday to get back to Chicago in time for our show. I'm sitting here saying to myself, every time we went past a gas station, we were looking for gas around $3.90 or $3.70. All along the highway, gas, $4.99, $5.17. Still cheaper than a first-class airplane ticket, a coach airplane ticket, or a last-class airplane ticket. Because of where I've been in my life, I understand no Merc. And my man Finesse 2 Times was making nothing but sense. Gas prices has an effect on your food prices, because from petroleum comes fertilizer. From petroleum comes hair grease. From petroleum comes eyelashes. From petroleum comes hair that you weave into your head. From petroleum comes products, everyday products that we use as Americans. From petroleum comes Crisco grease. From petroleum comes frying chicken, frying fish. From petroleum, how do you think fish is fried without petroleum? It's fried with petroleum. I'm just trying to tell you something. We got to make a way out of no way as a people. And now is our time. You see, as a people, we are survivors. And that's really the story. That's what Finesse 2 Times, from my perspective, was trying to say. We are survivors as a people. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, my good friend Shelly Davis, we're going to talk about Black organizations, the significance of what Reverend Sharpton was able to do in New York, and whether or not our organizations are ready for the midterms. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A funeral was held Monday morning for Black St. Louis police officer Gregory Triplett. He died after suffering a medical emergency during a training exercise on April 1st.
Officer Triplett's legacy isn't just the years he put in. It's the people he helped shape, the officers he mentored.
Triplett was 58 years old and served the department for 32 years. Maryland's newly signed budget includes more than $50 million in state funding for Washington County. The spending plan signed by Black Governor Wes Moore includes money for upgrades at Roxbury Correctional Institution, Hancock's wastewater treatment plant, and design work for a new vehicle maintenance shop and air traffic control tower. And a national event spotlighting Black-owned businesses made a stop in Memphis, Tennessee this weekend. Shop Blackfest featured 90 vendors selling everything from food to clothing along with live music. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The odds makers in Vegas are already showing a lack of confidence in the Lakers. The Lakers are 5.5-point underdogs at home to the Houston Rockets in Game 1 of their first-round playoff series in the Western Conference. Game 1 in the best-of-7 is Saturday at 5:30 at Crypto.com. Kawhi Leonard is hoping to do something he hasn't done in 5 years with the Clippers. Leonard has not won a playoff series since 2021. The Clippers have to win 2 games in the play-in round to get there. They play Golden State Wednesday at the Intuit Dome. The NBA may have a competition issue to deal with. 8 of the league's 30 teams ended the regular season with 55 or more losses. That's the highest number in league history. The 8 teams: Brooklyn, Indiana, Washington, New Orleans, Dallas, Memphis, and Utah. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Whoa,
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
When temperatures climb, LADWP wants to help you stay cool indoors, starting in your attic. With quality attic insulation, your home can stay more comfortable during hot summer days and help lower your energy bills year-round. It's a smart way to save. And for a limited time, LADWP has increased the attic insulation rebates to make upgrading more affordable. Act now to start saving. Visit LADWP.com/attic. That's LADWP.com/attic.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now. The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
From station to stage, LA Metro connects you to the artistic heart of Los Angeles. Celebrate this National Arts Month with Metro, exploring galleries, theaters, and cultural spaces across the city. Art isn't just where you end up, it's how you get there.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin', the soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot-stomping, heart-stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full-pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Welcome to the J Lunch Club. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. It is Moving Mountain Mondays, and I want to use this segment to talk about what I opined on in the first segment, and that was what I did not hear at the National Action Network conference. And that is a candidate who had the power to restore the people's faith in the Constitution. I'm deeply concerned about that, is what I said. Why am I deeply concerned about it? Because as African Americans, we have not given ourselves the credit that we deserve for having made this nation democratic. This nation was not democratic on July 4th, 1776. In fact, there was no Constitution on that date. The Constitution did not come into existence until September 17th, 1787. But we were here. That's what Martin Luther King Jr. said before Jefferson etched the magnificent words of the Declaration of Independence. We were here. That's what Malcolm X said when he said that we did not land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. We were here in 1619. Plymouth Rock was 1620. The Constitution of the United States is the guiding document of our republic, not the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is an aspirational document. And before the states would agree to the Constitution of the United States, written on September 17th, 1787, it was unacceptable even for white folks until the Bill of Rights in 1791. They had been through a lot with the king. So they wanted freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of association. These freedoms did not exist for the American people on the day the Constitution itself was written. They demanded explicit language in the Constitution to remedy that which the king had denied them, and they were not interested in a new king here in the United States. So before the Constitution could be in effect in many of the states and territories, they demanded the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Some would even argue that to secure these rights, they added the Second Amendment, the right to a gun, the right to a militia, should anyone try to take away the rights that we've secured in this Bill of Rights. That's just how concerned they were about the new government established by the architects, which has been romanticized greatly until placed in its proper context. But then the country was still not democratic because only white men could vote. And there were slaves. And there was no process to citizenship for people who would come into the country. And there was a genocide taking place for Native Americans, which became some kind of romantic manifest destiny that we have the right to build our country from one ocean to the other, while ignoring the indigenous people who were here for thousands of years before the Mayflower. I say this because the Negro is responsible for at least 3 amendments to the Constitution of the United States. Whether we were directly engaged in it in terms of its writing is one thing, but another is our lives and our struggle and the fact that a war took place where 600,000 people lost their lives in a civil war. And to keep this republic, to keep this nation together, it required Amendment number 13, followed by Amendment number 14 and number 15. Jim Clyburn said just 2 days ago that MAGA Republicans have approached him, and I believe it's in the Atlantic Star, the Black Atlantic Star, approached him about their willingness to start slavery all over again, but they can't as long as the 13th Amendment is in the Constitution. The debates about immigrants, the debates about should you have to show your passport at a voting location because of the SAFE Act that Donald Trump is advancing. The idea of citizenship, the idea of a passport comes from the 14th Amendment and the incorporation of the Negro into this system. We are responsible for that. The debate is still taking place. Trump arrogantly attended a Supreme Court hearing, a Supreme Court argument over the question of citizenship rights. The first modern president who showed up at the court to look the judges in the face that he appointed, arguing from his Solicitor General that the 14th Amendment does not apply to anyone but slaves and descendants thereof, justifying his right to deport people who come to the United States of America. The 15th Amendment, non-discrimination in voting for Black men. The right to vote in the Constitution for Black men was assured by the 15th Amendment, obviously, to the exclusion of women. And the same women who were fighting for the abolition of slavery With the addition of the 13th and 15th Amendments, limited language started their own movement for women's suffrage. The first 3 human rights amendments to the Constitution were added by the struggle of Black people and the Union Army and those who wanted to see the nation flourish and thrive. But the 19th Amendment is a reaction to the fact that we were even narrow-sided when we advanced the 15th Amendment by excluding women. Black men and women have been trying to catch up in this system democratically ever since we amended the Constitution. And then, of course, there's that, I believe, 26th Amendment, since I'm not looking at the Constitution at this moment, that said if we can send 18-year-old young people to Vietnam to vote, to fight and to die, they ought to have the right to vote. And now we're still discussing whether or not they have such a fundamental right. That's where we are in our politics. More on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're at Doolin's on Crenshaw. It's a special place where the neighborhood comes together. Got the fried chicken, the catfish, the candied yams, the mac and cheese. It's all delicious. I'm Isaac Bryan. I represent the Crenshaw District in the California State Legislature, and I'm supporting Tom Steyer for governor of California. California is under attack, and we need a fighter who's going to come in on day one and stand up for California values and push back. That person is Tom Steyer. Tom and I have been fighting together for the better part of a decade. Tom is the only candidate supported by smart justice, because Tom has stood on the front lines of racial justice, economic justice, and true solidarity. Tom is the real deal. He's the only candidate in the race with a comprehensive plan to make the billionaires and the corporations pay their fair share so we can fund things like universal health care and education. He means what he says, and he does what we need. This is a moment when we've got to fight fire with fire, and I believe that fire is Tom Steyer.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is dedicated to inspiring youth and resilience through storytelling, arts, filmmaking, and enrichment programs for youth and families in under-resourced communities and system-impacted individuals. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit providing free and low-cost arts programs to youth and families from under-resourced communities, both system-impacted youth and those affected by the incarceration of a loved one. 1 in 43 children in America have a parent incarcerated. 70% of those children are expected to end up in prison. Through filmmaking, animation, theater, and writing, they help young people express themselves, build confidence, and imagine new possibilities. Beyond the arts, they offer financial literacy workshops, emergency support, and scholarships. Because thriving takes more than talent, it takes access. To learn more about the impact of Michael Daughters Foundation and how you can be a part of the movement, please visit their website, michaelsdaughterfoundation.com. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Can we just talk? You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Moving Mountain Mondays. And in our final segment, I just want to have a moment of reflection on the 1959, 1960, 61 presidential campaign and all of the rumors that were circulating around the idea that America might elect its first Catholic president, Senator John F. Kennedy. Protestants in the United States were concerned that if a Kennedy, particularly John F. Kennedy, were elected president, that he might show a greater allegiance to the pontiff in Rome than to the American people. Well, history has shown and confirmed that when John F. Kennedy put his hand on the Bible, he swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States. He did not swear to uphold Catholicism or any of his personal religious beliefs, as none of us do when we place our hand on the Constitution and accept the responsibility of fidelity to it and public service. In other words, we put our religions aside to protect all religions in the First Amendment: Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Islam, Christianity. Before the Oval Office, all religions, non-religions, and those of us who do not believe in anything have a right in this nation to have the same protections for what we believe in, including nothing. America's open just like that. In our freedom system, we have a right, no matter who the president of the United States is, to be exactly who we are, without any worries or concerns about proselytization of the President of the United States. John F. Kennedy and his brother, Robert, the Attorney General of the United States, swore a fidelity to our rights to believe what we want to believe. As I've done 7, 8, maybe 9 times as a former member of Congress. I swore to uphold the Constitution, not to uphold the Bible or the Torah or the Quran, because we live under a civil code. And personally, we try to reach the standards of an acceptable moral code. But the civil code is the Constitution of the United States. Now, I am ashamed to say that the President of the United States is in a feud with the Pope, a world-respected religious figure who represents half of all Christians in the planet as the vicar of his church. And even though I'm part of a Protestant denomination, largely influenced by Martin Luther's having posted, I think in the 1560s or 1600s, 95 theses against the Catholic Church and corruptions within the Catholic Church, beginning a what? A protest movement against Catholicism, Protestant protest movement, which led to Protestantism, a protest form of Christianity, that we as a nation would have a leader post a picture of himself healing somebody in some kind of divine garb with a backdrop that has U.S. air fighters and planes, and Donald Trump essentially, as Paula White profoundly and prayerfully suggested, that Donald Trump has gone through the same thing that Jesus has gone through. I'm struck by that as an American, that evangelicals have gone so far as to anoint Donald Trump in the lineage of David as some kind of successor to Jesus of Nazareth. And in this moment, I have to ask myself the question, what of the poor? What has he done for the poor? What housing initiative has he advanced for men and women who have no homes? We know that he used the National Guard to clean them off of the streets of Washington, D.C., but where are they? Where did they go? Where did he send them? And removing the so-called eyesore is not a solution to the problem of ending homelessness for all Americans. Excited to learn that Viktor Orban has lost his election. Someone that Donald Trump, as an autocrat and authoritarian, has modeled himself after. What that means is that we, the people, have the power in the vote, won largely by the sacrifice of men and women who were told they were not human and did not have citizenship rights, who earned their citizenship rights the old-fashioned way. They didn't come by way of Ellis Island. They came here making America better. Pope Leo deserves better from our representative in Washington. Catholics all over the world should be outraged at this hour for what he has said and what he's doing. Let's uphold the blood-stained banner of Jesus of Nazareth and fight for what is right. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Until tomorrow, more on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm